There's an old saying, make hay while the sun shines. And it basically means take advantage of something while the opportunity is there. So we could occasionally ask ourselves the question, is the sun shining? And if it is, we should make hay. Is the sun shining? Oh, let's make some hay. Is the sun shining? No. Stop making hay. So this is an example of a loop. We do some task over and over again as long as some condition is true. As long as the sun is shining, we keep on making hay. Once the sun stops shining, we're going to stop making hay. In computer programming, a loop, just like branching, is a way that you can change the behavior of a program based on the conditions that exist at the time. I intentionally use the word while here because we're going to talk about while loops. These are loops with a block of code that continues to execute as long as some condition is true. Let's set up a program that makes hay, while the sun is shining, of course. Our program will start with an initial condition that the sun is in fact shining. We're using a special data type here called Boolean. A Boolean value can only be either true or false. By setting sunshines equal to true, we're saying that the sun is currently shining. As promised, we'll use the while keyword. After the word while, we simply write the condition we want to check. In this case, we want to know if the sun is shining. In other words, we want to know whether sunshines equals true. And if it does, we're just going to print make hay. Let's try out this program. We'll click Run. Whoa! What happened? Our program is out of control. We have to stop this. Of course, what happened is that we never set up a situation where the sun isn't shining. In our program, the sun is always shining. So let's add a little user interaction here. Now I've set up a little program that's more interesting. We still start out by setting sunshines equal to true, and we still have our while block checking whether sunshines is true. But this time, within the while block, we ask for some user input, and depending on the answer that the user gives, we may change sunshines to false. Let's try this program and step through the code together. So of course, when this program runs, the interpreter doesn't immediately run anything inside the main block, but skips down to the if statement and calls the main function. The first thing that happens inside the main function is that the Boolean variable sunshines is set to true. Next, the interpreter encounters a while block. So the interpreter says, if my condition is true, I'm going to execute the code inside the while block. Sunshines is true, so that's what happens. Inside the while block, the first statement we encounter is print make hay, and we see the result in the run window. Next, we ask the user to respond to a question, is the sun shining? We'll say yes, and we compare the user's response to the string no. If response equals no, set sunshines equal to false. But of course we said yes. So response equals yes. This condition is not true. So the code in the if block is not executed. Instead, we come down to the next line which says, thank you for your answer. And at this point, we've run out of code inside the while block. But instead of going on to the next line of code, Python says, wait a minute, I'm inside a loop. I need to check whether I should loop again. So we jump back up to the while statement, and then again we check, is sunshines equal to true? Of course it is because we haven't changed it. So we see that Python executes this code again, and it will keep executing this code as long as we say yes. In fact, as long as we say anything other than no, it will keep telling us to make hay. When we say no, however, suddenly this condition evaluates to true. If response equals no, set sunshines equal to false. Notice that the loop doesn't end right away. We continue on to the next statement that says print thank you for your answer. But when we get to the end of the while block and jump back up to check if sunshines equals true, this time sunshines is false. So the code inside the while block is no longer executed, and control passes to the next line. In the run window, we say no more hay. Goodbye. We could put a more complex condition here. Let's alter our code to see how that might work. Suppose we start with 0 bales of hay, and we can only end our day when we have 10. So this time, the user input is actually going to get incorporated into our condition. Inside the while loop, our user is going to be asked how many bales of hay they've already made. We're going to turn that response into an integer and use the response to decide whether we should continue in the loop. Let's try the program. If we enter 4 bales of hay, that's less than 10, so the loop continues. If we say that we've made 12 bales of hay already, then we're done.